Hello, welcome to episode 8 of the Circle and Square podcast.
That's correct.
We're on a little bit of a tighter
time crunch here. It should be fine to do an hour and then we'll be good.
I wish we could
take a break. So.
I wish we could fucking stretch and Gretchen out our time crunch, but we can't. We really
have
can't.
to go play the musical at the theater and be sober enough to do it.
We're busy guys.
Yeah, we are kind of busy,
and that's not our fault. We're in demand, and that's what makes me wonder why you guys aren't begging a little more.
The only emails we gotten are like when I'm testing apps at work for our podcast.
Let's go through before we start the.
What are you drinking today?
Busch Light. I drink Busch Light every fucking episode.
I know Blake was like, we should make like a thing for every episode. Like, what are you drinking? But hey, I'm drinking a Miller Lite this time. I was drinking some vodka cranberry.
Pilsners for bitches.
Busch Light's a pilsner too.
No, it's not.
Those cold fermented like American lagers are all.
They're not pilsners. All right, this is a perfect way to start the podcast. Let's look up the definition of a pilsner.
Well, so a pilsner is it's fermented differently than like an ale. So a lager and an ale, but pilsners are lagers, and I'm pretty sure that Busch Light is also one, but I might be crazy and stupid.
And what are you willing to risk if you're wrong?
I don't know. $50.
All right, perfect. Busch Light is a lager.
It's a lager, but
not a pilsner. What is the difference between a pilsner and?
Well, pilsner is a lager. But
no, it's not.
Pilsner is a type of lager. It's like lagers and ales are like the two. It's like cold fermented and warm fermented beers. I mean, I might also be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. I don't know. When I worked at a place that did a bunch of beer shit. So
anyway,
so we'll figure out the answer.
I'm drinking a lager or an ale, and he's drinking a pilsner.
Correct. Yes.
And we're happy that you're here with us today.
Yes.
Let's pimp some of those links to our Instagrams.
Yes.
Because we need to get those up.
I know, for sure. Instagram and Twitter is at Circle Square Pod. Please follow us at Circle Square Pod. YouTube, we're at Circle Square Podcast. At Circle and Square Podcast, I believe. And then at the email address is circleandsquare podcast@gmail.com.
And that's where all the big booty bitches are deemed to go.
Yeah, please slide into that if you have a big booty.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk before we get into our regularly program. We don't. This is not a real podcast.
Yeah, it's like we don't have any.
What did you do this week,
anyway.
man? What have you been up to?
Nothing really. I bought a couple plants, which is kind of nice. I'm turning into that bitch, so I have some plants now in my house. I hope I don't kill them. I made some hot and sour soup. You weren't there for that.
I know. I fucking wish I would have.
Celebrate my my dick not hurting anymore.
We said we weren't going to talk
about it. Still does a
that.
little bit. I know we said we weren't going to talk about it. And then, I've just been playing the musical, and it's this week or today and then tomorrow, and then it's done. And then I start another one, but whatever, who cares? But I'm a busy boy, music boy, thank God. The gigs are coming back. And
that will probably, once this musical's over, we'll have a little more
we'll have some more time to maybe do like some clubhouses and shit.
Well, because like the last 3 since you've been starting this musical, we've been like juggling around which
like
days
all of our
we can
time
do
and
this.
Everything. Yeah, exactly. So it should be better after this.
Sundays is the day that I would like to do it.
Yeah, but then then I have to go mix it and release it the same day, which is kind of stressful. But I still haven't gotten the video for the last one up, unfortunately. But we'll do that.
We could release them on Tuesday mornings. A lot of podcasts release on Monday mornings.
I know. I kind of want to do like when there's current events, I kind of want to kind of be on top of it, you know what I mean? And not like kind of just be like almost like a week behind. But I guess I like covering the week that was, before the next week starts. You can kind of recap and that kind of stuff. But anyway, I don't know.
As long as we keep somewhat consistent.
Yeah. But yeah, we're thankful for everyone who's here with us, It's been fun. I
have fun every week.
I have fun every week,
too. I don't care
if
anybody ever listens to this.
Yeah.
This is like my
we have
weekly thing of just getting drunk and hanging out with
Yeah,
my
and it's
bud.
well,
and
it's good. Yeah, it's good.
bullshitting.
It's good because like before this, we were like barely seeing each other, like kind of like off and on. So it's kind of nice to see.
Don't
you
make it seem
consistently,
like this
too.
is a relation. Seeing each other off and on. This isn't a relationship.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm in a relationship with big booty bitches.
And yeah, and I try and see Blake's dick like every week when I get fucked up. So
It's never happening.
I know, except for that one time we were.
That's never happened. I want to give a couple shout outs to some people.
Who would you like to shout out?
Let's go. Sean Conway. He never listens to this.
Is that an actor?
No, it's the guy that bought us a bunch of shots at Oliver's
that
before
guy.
we
So
did
nice,
this.
dude.
tonight.
We actually, I kind of want to get. I do want to kind of get him as a guest spot. Would that be fun?
He's the one who sent me the Stretching Gretchen thing. Cody.
He would be, and Cody would be fun.
Cody's awesome.
Cody would be fun to have on here too, because I had a really good conversation with him about stocks
Cody's
and about
super
like
smart.
like leftist stuff, and he listened to Jimmy Dore too. And
Yeah.
I fuck with Jimmy Dore a little bit. Tim Dillon was saying he was going to go on Jimmy Dore too. Oh yeah, we're going to go see Tim Dillon this week. That'll be really fun.
Wednesday.
We were totally like fanboying, really drunk last time. That was kind of funny. We were like totally fanboying our hearts out about old Timmy D.
He's a cool dude. And then I also want to give a shout out to one person that I'm not going to bring this up to him, that I gave him a shout out, because I want him to prove what he says is. He says he listens to every
Yeah.
episode.
So
Justin Alexander, if you listen to this website, I need a secret word.
Like a secret word.
Yeah. What could
How
it be?
about how about like fallopian tube?
Yeah, Justin, if you hear this podcast, next time I see you, I just need you to look at me and say fallopian tube. That'd be pretty cool. It would mean a lot to me.
Yeah, I hope he does listen to you. That dude's cool too. You know, it's cool. I've met a bunch of people through Relievers, but I'm glad for Patreoners to be open again. You know,
That's going to be the Sunday pre-spot.
It's so funny when I was talking to my friend from Miami when you were inside and when I was out in my car outside of Relievers, and he was just like, I was telling him, I was like, I just rolled up to the bar, and my friend who said we had to do the podcast later because he was going to be at his brother's baseball game, but he's at the bar, and I was like, this sounds really small town, doesn't it? And he was like, yeah, like, oh, your friend's at the town bar, and he's like, go leave him alone, you know? And I was like, well, I was coming here for a drink anyway.
Guess what happened as you were sitting out in the fucking parking lot? I texted you to tell you that I wouldn't just lie to you.
No, I thought you saw my car, so that's actually really funny.
No.
Yeah, that's
I
really
had
funny.
just gotten back from the baseball game. That's where I bought this new hat today.
Ooh, what?
Side.
Yeah, what? That is really similar to the Wisconsin. That's so funny that they would sue him.
It's inverted.
Yeah, because yeah.
It's trans. It's a trans West Side logo.
No, that's funny. Yeah, so it does. I know Omaha is funny because it is kind of like a small town, but it's like I do kind of like Omaha, especially after after visiting Austin with all those tents, dude. This country's getting fucking crazy. It really is. I feel like COVID, I know there were already so many people living in their cars in LA and shit, you know, and now it's just kind of like moving around, and it's like, I don't know. It's so scary and off-putting, and
It's hell on wheels, baby. Hell on wheels.
yeah, this whole country is hell on wheels, dude. It's insane.
So what happened this week? Let's dive into it. I mean, the obvious story is Stair Force won.
Yeah, that was really funny to see. I mean, well, not funny. I feel so bad because that motherfucker is so old. I just don't want him to get hurt.
The problem with
you
it
know?
is, like, all the people making fun of it is like, I'm 27 and I fall upstairs even when I'm not drunk.
Yeah.
All the time. Stairs are difficult. It's a lot of steps that have to be perfectly placed.
Yeah, and when you
Like,
when you have all that pressure on you too, and he's like trying to like run up it, and it looked like it like might have been like raining a little bit or something. It was, it's scary when he's an old man like that. Poor Joe.
Here's the thing with stairs. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I think stairs are fucking kind of a weird thing. So the average staircase, like the landing of a stair, is probably 12 inches?
You mean like the stair itself?
Like the actual platform that you, like the stair, like what would you even call it?
The step.
The step. I'm pretty. There's gonna be carpenters coming out. No carpenters listen to this. Also, speaking of carpenters, yesterday was St. Joseph Day, and that's a Polish holiday, and I'm Polish, and thank you, St. Joe.
Yeah, dude. St. Joe. That's
Jesus' stepdad.
yeah. There's a lot of There's a lot of stuff about that in small town Nebraska where all my Polish relatives are from too.
Yeah, it's actually I could go into it. I researched it yesterday.
Really?
Why it started?
No, I would love to hear it actually.
All right, so I saw somebody posted about it, and I decided to look it up a little bit. And St. Joseph Day started. Well, it's always been a thing in like Europe and all those countries, but when there was a giant influx of Irish immigrants, in St. Patrick's Day became a huge thing in Chicago, and they would dye the, what's the name of that river? Is it the Chicago River?
Yeah, I don't know what goes through the city, but have you been to Chicago before?
No.
Oh, interesting.
But they dye that green, and most of the clergy in the Catholic Church were Irish at that time. So actually the St. Joseph's Day is celebrated by both the Polish and the Italians.
The Irish, you mean?
No, Polish and the Italians, because they came a little bit later than
But there's
Irish.
a huge, I mean, because my grandpa, who is the Polish side of my family, he came to Nebraska from Chicago, where he had his parents had come from Poland, because my grandfather was acting up when he was a kid, and they were like, "You're going to go live with your aunt and uncle. They live on a farm in Nebraska." And then my grandpa came here to live on the farm, and then he ended up staying there for the rest of his life. Isn't that funny? So he's like from Chicago, but
Did you know Chicago has the highest population of Polish people in the whole world?
well, that's what
There's more Polish people
Than in
in
Poland?
Chicago than in Warsaw, Poland.
That's crazy. No, I mean, and I believe it because there's a huge amount of Polish people there. Because so our some of my grandpa's like siblings, then had kids, and so my mom's like cousins and shit. They used to go to Chicago when they were younger, and it's so funny to think about like my grandpa and grandma like living in that small fucking farm town, and they would use a map, like a physical fucking like look at this huge map, to go to visit Busha or their grandmother.
Busha.
In Chicago.
Rest in peace, Busha. I miss you.
Oh, I miss her. Well, I never knew her, but she taught my mom some like pierogi recipes and shit. But it's just kind of funny. They used to drive out there in this van, and my mom was telling me about it, how she was like, I don't know how we all didn't die, because it was 7 of us kids in the back of a van, and then like grandma and grandpa driving in this van like to Chicago, and then like they don't know where to turn. They would miss all the turns all the time, and just like because
I feel like you're trying to make a Polish joke. Like they're missing all the turns. They can't can't read a map.
God, my mom hates those Polish jokes, but we as a family we love making them because it's just it's kind of funny.
I'm glad you had a Busha too, because growing up, maybe one of my sisters will listen to this, but they'll remember visiting my Busha on she lived on 14th Street, right behind Sokol, and every time we would go there, she beat breast cancer, I think, twice.
Damn.
When she was like 60 and then something else, and she died at like 99.
That's crazy.
She was a hardcore bitch.
Every
time we would come there, she would give us money.
Oh yeah.
Oh, take the money.
I actually didn't have a Busha. That was my mom's grandma. So
you're a fucking fake.
I
had a real
Chicago.
Busha.
Yeah, I'm kind of like removed from culture, but
obviously look at my face. I'm not that far removed. I look like a fucking Polak.
Yeah, I mean, I have that look. I have that an Italian mix, so it's kind of like hard to.
We do kind of look like we would be related.
Yeah. I mean, if I bet honestly, well, not we probably aren't just because of our family came from different spots, but if you go back far enough, man, I mean, like you can.
Adam and Eve.
Someone did I saw there was a thing on Reddit, like some high schooler did like a research project, and he found out that like 30 something of all the presidents are all related.
Oh,
like he like looked at them,
that's speaking of Reddit, before we get into like, because we're kind of wandering here, do you remember the Reddit joke that I told you earlier?
Oh,
should I tell it?
Yeah, you should. It's really
a pretty
funny.
good joke. All right, so a pastor, a priest, and a rabbit walk into a blood donation facility, and the rabbit goes, I think I'm a typo. All right, let's get into current events. We'll let people sit on that. Think about it, baby. It's a good joke.
So speaking of, your ancestry and like being in America and stuff like that, like one of the big stories this week, which I like hesitated how to approach this, and I'm really glad that I had a few days to sit on it, because I feel like initially I had some thoughts on this that were more like, I guess, hardlined and risque than I've like come to settle on. But yes, of course, like the shooting in Atlanta, and just like it's interesting because there's so many different angles to the story. There's so many different ways you can approach thinking about it, and I know that like it's not like Asian people need me, a white person, to like tell anyone how to feel, or like to preach like something, or to like play devil's advocate. And I like don't in any way mean to do that, because I watched the press conference that everyone got all upset about because there was like a cop who said that he just had a bad day or whatever. And it was kind of like an offhand comment. But when he made that comment, I was like, dude, the internet's going to fucking take this and run with it.
I don't know if I saw what he said.
Well, okay. So I mean, and I'll give you my frame of like my thinking during this. And of course, this is me. Like, first of all, just so the Asian community knows, I fuck with you guys hard, like I have a lot, and it's just, I don't want to be like someone who says like, oh, I have Asian friends, you know what I mean? Like, but it's like, I have a lot of friends from a lot of different countries, and I have a lot of friends who were born here, and there's a different dynamic, if you're, an immigrant, or if your like family's been here generations too. There, like, there's these different dynamics of like how you connect to your culture, and like how much of that's still in you and stuff, and like people wanting to have a moment with things too. That's another thing. But when I first heard about this shooting, I was like, oh, it was like, oh, there's a shooting, there's 8 people dead, these massage parlors, whatever. And my first thought was, without seeing any information, I was like, some neckbeard white guy incel who can't get laid was probably in love with some ladies at a massage parlor, and then went crazy and killed him. That was like my first thought without seeing any evidence. Then I started seeing all this stuff come out where it was like he was a racist, he was a white supremacist, like all this different shit. And I was like, oh, holy shit, that's insane. And then I like read more into it, watched the press conference, and then I kind of realized I was like, okay, well, there's not really anything saying that he's like a white supremacist, so I don't know why this like certain narrative started to go. But then, and so I was thinking, I was like, well, it doesn't seem like race was that big of a factor. But then I thought about it more, and I was like, well, he did go to specifically Asian places. And so I'm just thinking, I'm like, even if he didn't like kill these ladies because he hated Asian people, he was still seeking out probably specifically Asian women because he maybe like fetishized them. So there was definitely like a racial element or whatever. So, but all that aside, when I see this stuff where it's like, where like I had a lot of friends sharing things that were like tweets from, blue check people, giving their huge takes and, edgy things. And it was like, this white supremacist terrorist shot and killed 8 Asian women, and people are saying it's not about race. And then I'm like, I don't want to be the person who has to be like, actually, it was only 6 Asian women, and then 2 of them weren't, and there was a guy, and there was a white person, because you don't want to be like, actually, that's wrong, but I can see still where you're coming from, It's like, but like, people were sharing all this stuff and getting all worked up about like these facts that like weren't true, and I was just like, well, we have to like settle on like what's the true facts first too, you know what I mean? And then like people were saying like don't give him an excuse that it was just like, oh, he felt temptation from like this fundamentalist religion, whatever. But I think that's honestly a big aspect of it too, like people that are so fundamentally religious and sexually repressed that they and they can't get laid, and this guy wants to get laid. I don't know. It's like, why are we having a conversation? It's like America knows we can't have the conversation about gun control, so then we just have to like automatically have a conversation about race, and we have to make it into like this thing where it's like, every other race kind of had their like moment to be like, we exist, and so it like, and my Asian friends are kind of taking it upon them, Asian American friends, I should be specific, to like for this to like be their moment, which is kind of fine, because it's like, yes, have this moment to to make your voice heard, but it sucks that it's like this moment where all the facts are jumbled, no one really knows anything, and then everyone's like coming out and kind of making it into this like overtly racist thing right out of the way. Like, and sorry, I haven't let you talk any about this, but the last thing that I saw was I kind of started, and so obviously I have friends who are foreign from other countries. I have friends who are here studying from school that are from other countries. I have friends who've been here for generations, right? And so I have friends who are more of like this like social justice warrior kind of side of things that are like, this is an atrocity, blah, 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 and like being really vocal about it. And then I also talked to one of my Asian friends who was actually born in Vietnam, but he's here and he shares more of my like same political ideology. And we were both kind of coming to the same agreement on the fact that like, when you saw the media response to this, it almost seemed like, you know how like when like a celebrity dies and they already have like the template of their death like already printed up, you know? Yeah. And it seems like it's all ready to go, where it's like, and even if they didn't know they were going to die, there's like a template. It's like, okay, say this about their life and now we'll go into this part and then do this thing. It's almost like they had like a template of like race motivated shooting and like, okay, now make it Asian, you know? And then it's just like all these places just kept on pumping out these stories about like all this hate. And I know that like hate crimes in general have actually been on decline. And I know that we had fucking Trump in there like aggravating everyone, saying a bunch of like shit that, you know, not that I think we should trust China on the virus, but at the same time, like maybe don't, you know, placate a bunch of people. But it just seemed like it was almost like formulaic, and it was almost like this media like thing to like push a narrative of like everyone is irredeemably racist. This is a horrible place. Everyone hates Asian. I was like, everyone I know, like we fuck hard with Asian people. I don't know what the hell, you know, but I get it. And not to downplay any of the racism that all my Asian friends face, because I see what they have to deal with on like dating apps and shit, and it's fucking horrendous, and it's unacceptable. But this is just my take as a white person. I don't want to fucking tell anyone how to feel or be like that, but that was just kind of like my spiel, you know?
All right, so this is going to take... I got to sort through this in my head a little bit, way that I'm going to say it and try not to trip over anything. I think it's a mix between maybe the two things, like, which I think it also, like, ultimately comes down to probably racism. I would assume, like you said, this dude was some sort of sex obsessed, maybe an incel.
And I know a lot about sexually charged white men because I am very familiar with that demographic. Yeah. Go on.
So when you think about that, if you're someone that can't get laid, and you're in American culture and you want to get a hand job or a blow job, what is the first thing in American culture that comes to your mind as a place to get off?
Yeah, I guess like a massage
rub and tug or a happy ending,
which is like kind of like has this like Asian spa connotation to it.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. That's what like multiple or like people relate like Asian massage to like happy ending.
And it is a real thing. But I also hated how everyone was coming out and being like, support sex workers. And it was like, okay, maybe these women weren't sex workers though, too. Like, we don't like really know.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
We don't know anything about this. So why is everyone saying like...
That's where I think the racism comes into play, is that people just assume that it's an Asian massage, that they're sex workers. They're giving hand jobs. They're giving blow jobs. So that's why I don't think you can just completely take... I think maybe the kid... How old was he?
I don't know. I don't care. He looked young, and he looked like he looked like someone who couldn't get laid.
Was trying to get off somewhere, and these people turned him down. And so I think it's maybe a mix of like...
He said it was like a temptation. And not to give this guy any credence, because like this is a horrible thing. And like fuck that dude. He should go away forever. Like honestly, kill him. I don't care. But like... if you're raised in like a fundamentalist kind of thing, like I wish we would focus more on shit like that. I wish we'd focus more on like it's like there's always gonna be white men that can't get laid. There's always going to be boys who can't get laid who get upset about it, and it's always like that dude who did all the shooting in California had that manifesto about like how he couldn't get laid. You know what I'm talking about?
What one was that?
He was actually like half Asian, half white. Do you remember that? It was in California. He like went on a rampage and started shooting a bunch of people randomly. He was like in college. But I mean, there's been so many, you know. But it's always like this same thing where these people feel so like no one will listen to them, and also that they're lonely and no one loves them and shit.
A perfect example would be the Orlando nightclub massacre, where that dude was apparently a closeted homosexual, and he had to, because he was Muslim, right?
I was going to bring this up too. Because when I heard about that, my initial thought, this is like, for some reason, my initial thoughts always seem to be pretty accurate on this thing, because I looked at it and they said, oh, he had frequented this nightclub, and I was like, okay, he was gay. He felt bad about being gay. His religion made him feel bad about being gay, and then he went and shut up this nightclub. It's not like, but also it's not like it was a targeted thing necessarily against gay people. It's because he went there and he felt bad about it, right? And then he felt bad about being gay.
Or there's an
element to it.
If I can't have it, you can't have it.
Yeah, there's like an element to it that is definitely tied in to that whole thing. But I didn't take it as some sort of like, oh, this is our gay moment to like, you know, to make our voices heard and all this kind of shit. I was like, this guy's fucking insane. We all know that like there's people like this, but also like we don't need to like.
I'll say this on that same. Let's end this bit on that. The kinkiest, weirdest girls, the sexiest, the nastiest, the hottest, we're all Catholic girls.
Yeah, everyone always says that.
Because it's true. They're trying to get back at somebody. And I mean, I grew up Catholic, but I mean, I'd say keep Catholicism going, because I learned some weird shit from that stuff.
I'm Catholic, and I'm definitely like I have like a sex addiction. That's why like and do not get me wrong, I do not feel bad for this kid or person or whatever the fuck you want to call him.
We're done talking about
it. Yeah. Like I don't talk about that. But like I don't feel bad for him at all. But I understand like sex addiction, and I do think that it's a real thing. I don't know. I was just looking at like, you know, he killed like, you know, people's moms, or just like kid, like maybe it was like in high school or something. He posted on Instagram about, you know, his mom dying. It was so sad to read it, because it's like, and not to go too deep into like shit.
I think you're gonna get us too dark.
No. And not to be too dark. I just want to say that like I understand what my Asian friends, especially Asian American friends in this country, go through, because they do have to deal with a lot of shit. And I feel like culturally, and this is, I also don't want to blanket statement things. I don't want to seem like I'm speaking for anyone, but I feel like culturally, a lot of my Asian friends feel like they can't really voice their concerns about this kind of stuff, because their family is almost like in a way that's like, we don't talk about this kind of stuff. Like you should like blend in rather than like be like overt about these kind of things, and don't like express that you like feel racism or whatever. And that's why I think like, you know, there's that whole fucking quote unquote, I'm doing finger quotes, like model minority shtick about Asian people, and how like, you know, because they're getting way better test scores than everyone else and like trying really hard, but there's just like hustle, there's like this hustle culture in their families and stuff, and it's like very stressful, and they feel that kind of stress. And then they're also like going on fucking dating apps and having like white dudes be like you're fucking disgusting. Like my Asian friends have showed me shit that dudes sent them on Grindr that is fucking insane, disgusting. I've never seen shit like that before, and like I wouldn't even assume or know that kind of stuff's going on. And then my friends see, and I was like, damn, this is a thing. Like, why are these guys so upset and so pissed off that they're coming to you and saying like fuck you just for like looking a certain way? I mean, it's fucking insane. Yeah, so I understand my Asian friends' frustration. I understand wanting to come out and like say something about like stuff you've experienced. this being a catalyst for it is a little odd because it's like such a complicated situation with a bunch of different angles to it. But if this is what it takes, like, by all means. So
don't shelter your kids. I got my first blowjob while I was sitting in a hamper, a closed hamper.
How old were you?
14.
Really?
Yeah, she was Catholic.
I was. That's funny. I didn't realize you got into sex so early. I also
lost my virginity when I was 16.
Me and my first boyfriend, I had a first boyfriend when I was 13, and we did like all the stuff, but like we didn't. I mean, anal's kind of complicated, so it's like we couldn't really do it. We tried, but it didn't really work.
And we promised each other we weren't going to get into sex this episode. What's next? Do we take a break? We're on limited time, so do we just power through?
I mean, we can take a small break if you want, and then come back and do this. Do you want to do that?
It's up to you. If we need extra minutes, we can always come back tomorrow.
I don't have to. Yeah. And I don't have to be there at 7. I can be there a little after 7.
Yeah, because you have to drive me to.
Yeah. So let's take a little break, and then we'll be back.
We back.
There's a couple things I want to do really quickly before So I saw this video. AOC did one of her Instagram live things where she's talking about stuff that they're doing in the House. I've been kind of upset with the progressives in Congress because they have not been using their leverage that they totally do have.
What do you mean? The progressives in Congress aren't being progressive?
Yeah. It's almost like they are trying to infiltrate a corrupt party that is corrupting them in the process.
And they just want that paycheck.
Yeah, they just want to keep getting reelected. Well, so they didn't want to force a vote on Medicare for all. They didn't want to force Nancy Pelosi's speakership and make her bring Medicare for all up to a vote, or else they wouldn't vote for Nancy Pelosi for speaker. There was a whole progressive thing where it was like, hey, you should do this. And they were all like, no, we actually have all this other stuff that we're trying to do. We're trying to pass a $15 minimum wage. That's going to be the thing that we do. Well, they had the opportunity to do the $15 minimum wage, and then the Democrats could have totally done it. And then they were talking about parliamentarian, using all these excuses. Joe Biden brought up the parliamentarian before it was even a deal in a fucking interview. So it's like they all knew what they're doing, which is just pretty much grifting and gaslighting the American population, which is really fucking annoying. But AOC decided to let everyone know about something that's in this COVID relief package that's actually it's a little hidden thing that's a progressive policy. Let's listen to her explain it.
Because let's talk about student loans. Because I found something very interesting in this bill.
Found something very interesting. Do you not? I mean, they don't read the bill, so it makes sense.
Before everyone gets ahead of themselves, there is not student loan cancellation in this bill.
Okay. So just so we know, there's not student loan cancellation in this bill, but
there is a provision that feels like an Easter egg, which I think gives us some hope, because not only are college students...
I just have a quick question. Is this video being recorded in her small Brooklyn kitchen while she's cooking dinner and acting like a poor person?
It is.
Is it really?
I don't know. It might be in her her DC,
I love the ones where she's cooking and
and
all right, sorry.
But anyway,
keep going.
Going to get stimulus checks that they didn't get last year, but I noticed, and some people noticed, that there is a tax provision tucked away that says if your student loans get canceled, that cancellation, you don't have to pay taxes on that cancellation. Which, in other words, you wouldn't have to, it wouldn't be processed in as though, it would not be, if your student loans get canceled.
Which they won't.
It will not be treated as though, the government gave you money for you to pay off your loan, so that you would have to pay taxes on that. So let's say you had, several $1,000s in student loan debt.
Or $50,000 like most people.
You wouldn't pay taxes on the cancellation for that. Now, there's no student debt cancellation in the bill. So this provision that's tucked in, I think, tells us, like, if you care about student debt cancellation, it's go time for you. You need to mobilize, and now is the time to organize.
Okay, so
I'm
first of all,
confused on
oh my
what
God.
she's.
Oh shit. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay. So what she's saying is there's no student debt cancellation in this bill. By the way, there's probably never going to be, but they put something in that said, and so it's kind of signaling like, hey, we want to cancel student debt. So when we do, you're not going to pay taxes on the money. So it's basically like, so when student debt's canceled, it's actually going to be canceled, and you don't have to pay taxes on $50,000, which would still be a lot of money. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's still that's like, it's fucking annoying because it's like, oh, so if we cancel your debt, you're not going to have to pay money for us to cancel
But the
your
actual
debt.
debt isn't canceled in the bill.
But the actual debt's not canceled in the bill. And you know that the Democrats are already like voting against themselves and negotiating themselves down from like all this shit, like with like the minimum wage. So you know that they're not going to do it. So, and I love the last part. She says like, so if you really care about this, it's time to mobilize. It's like, we did mobilize. Like, lady, we mobilized. We
And
got you guys
backed
into
out.
Congress. We got you all elected. Now, can you?
Well, we really didn't.
I know, but it's like, can you fight for this? It's your job to fight for this. It's not like, oh, now we have the chance to fight for this. You know, like that whole thing like pissed me off so much because it's like,
Well, it's also the same person that was so against Nancy Pelosi and then voted.
yeah, and keeps on voting for her to be speaker, even though they could have all used their leverage to say, hey, we're not going to vote for you as speaker.
That money is hot in D.C.
It really must be. And also, I mean, all these people, they don't read bills. The bills are too long. There's, they all have people reading the bills for them, interpreting them for them. All these people that work in the Democratic Party that are pushing this agenda and like trying to make it like seem as though, I don't know, like these people are progressive, but it's just like, it's proof that we need another party because obviously the Democratic Party is not working for us or for the people. And this is like, it's just it's so annoying to hear her say this because it's like they had all these excuses why they couldn't actually use their leverage and try and like fight, and now they're saying like, oh, here's the thing that we got. It's if they cancel student debt sometime in the future, God willing, you're not gonna have to pay taxes like 30% on $50,000, which it's still gonna be like $15,000 or something that you're going to pay. It's like, oh, you're not going to have to owe that $15,000. It's just going to be completely canceled. It's like, is it? I thought that's what it would have been anyway. Like anyone would have assumed that if you canceled student debt that you wouldn't pay money.
Why
on
would
it,
you
right?
have to? That's what I was confused.
It's like if you owe all this money and you can't pay it. So now it's like they would cancel it, and then you would have to pay the tax on it. Yeah, it's like
that's what I was saying when I was like,
so stupid.
this is confusing to me. It doesn't make sense.
And it's not very exciting, is it? She's acting like it's like this like fucking exciting thing that they get to. This is what
she
happens.
should have at least been chopping up a zucchini or something.
Yeah.
Because
so it could have been. So it could have been interesting.
Was boring.
I know, and also just like anticlimactic and fucking like just terrible. This is what the Justice Democrats, this is what the progressives in Congress are doing for you guys. And they made a joke. It was like, how about we just call them just Democrats? Not the Justice Democrats. They're just Democrats because that's what it's turning into. It's just and now Pramila Jayapal is bringing the Medicare for All bill to the floor, and of course, I guarantee you, Nancy Pelosi's not going to bring it up for a vote because she doesn't need to because you guys didn't push her at all. You guys didn't do any sort of leverage point, so now it's just going to be shot down again. Then you can say, oh well, we tried, But did you really try? Did you really try?
I feel like every week this podcast goes on, I just go a little more right. I
mean, because you hear this stuff and you say like, what are these people doing? It's all theater. It's all show. Everything's like a theatrical thing that's meant to, and now we have to mobilize. What do you want us to do? Storm the Capitol? But no one can do that anymore because the last one. I'm just saying the last one was so bad, dude. They still have they still have all these National Guard troops deployed at the White House, and everyone's saying that people like in DC are like, why are we living in are we living in Brazil? Like, what is this?
If everything is so free and everything is so fair, why do you have to protect it like that? It's fucking crazy.
Americans want to go to, our shit. This is our country. It's our, those are our buildings. People should be able to visit them if they fucking want to. I don't think you should be able to
break into them and scale up the fucking side of them and shoot a security guard.
Yeah, exactly.
It just seems.
But also, we should be able to protest and not have, like the next time anyone wants to protest anything, there's going to be tanks. There's going to, you know what I mean? Like well,
that's already been what do they call that? Agent provocateurs. Like that's always been a thing forever.
I feel like they let these like right wing nuts fucking do this a little bit,
so they can
use an excuse
so you can't go.
to fucking exactly. And I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but it seems
it's not
like that's
conspiracy though, because there's been multiple times in the United States history where there's been is it agent?
I don't know what that. Were agent provocateurs?
It's where the government will hire people to go in and kind of rile up all these people, so then they can legally send in the National Guard.
Yeah, and that's proven that they do shit like that. And
it's been that way forever.
What's crazy is like people don't want to have a discussion too about like what people conspiracy theorists or whatever refer to as the deep state, which is totally a thing that exists, which is the fact that we have people in like the military industrial complex that, or whatever they call it, but people that are high up in the military that have held these positions because they're not elected, they're appointed
for a long time,
and they've held them for a long time, and they have all these interests in these other countries and everyone makes a bunch of money off of it, and we're not allowed to vote for these people. We're not allowed to sign off on any of these things. They can apparently drop bombs on Syria without any congressional approval, yet somehow, we can't. We can't even have like a simple fucking vote on like whether or not they should raise the minimum wage over 4 years when it's not going to be. Oh my God. It's
almost like these people that we're allowed to vote for are there to fucking distract us from the other people who have been in the same seats for the last 15, 20 years who are actually making fucking like global decisions.
It's almost like globalist multimillionaires and billionaires control the entire world.
We got to get Alex Jones on our podcast.
Trying to push a fucking narrative. I mean, like, and that's when I see stuff like what happened with that shooting too, not to bring it back into that, but when I see stuff like that, I'm always questioning the narrative that's being pushed really hard out of the media, because while I sympathize with everyone, I see a narrative being pushed, and I can't help but like recognize it and notice it and think to myself, like, like, I don't know what these people are trying to get us to do. They're trying to get us to fucking fight each other and think that we all hate each other and think that everyone that's in a small town hates everyone that's on the coast. And I just wish we could all just fucking band together, storm the Capitol, kill a few people and make some shit happen, climb some fences in Beverly Hills and break some windows. Not that I'm inciting anything. But
I wanna end on a little bit of a, I guess it's technically lighter. Sorry, I had to pull up a tweet to follow it up with.
Oh yeah.
So well, I guess Bill Burr.
I do
background about Bill Burr.
Not his background, but
he did Saturday Night Live. Well, he did.
Was he on Saturday Night Live, or he just has done like?
No, he
wrote for it.
No, he hosted it probably 5-6 months ago.
Oh, okay. And I'm just saying he's a comedian, so I don't know if he came from SNL or something.
He's always been like pushing the boundaries of politically correct stuff.
Yeah.
And people tend to jump on him all the time. So he presented an award at the Grammys, and I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to dive a little deeper into exactly what happened.
Please do.
Was I the only one who wanted to kill himself during that piano solo? I bought a suit for this. I thought I was going to be on TV. I'm such a moron. I am losing so much money right now. All right, shout out to all the rock stars that I wanted to meet tonight who are watching at home instead. I'm talking to you, Don Dawkins. All right? What, I'm old. That was my first concert. All right, here are the next categories. All right. Hey, how many feminists are like going nuts? So why is this cis white male doing all this Latino stuff?
So later on in the presentation, he mispronounced a name of one of the Latino artists, and
was he presenting like best Latino pop album
Yes.
or something like that?
All right.
Why?
All right, so hold on. So
Did they have them do that on purpose just so they could cancel him or something, or what
well,
the fuck?
people started canceling him for
Canceling him.
calling out.
Canceling Bill Burr? No.
Well, the thing they said that he was a white supremacist and all this crazy stuff.
Oh my God.
Well, Bill Burr is married to a black lady. All right, so this guy, tell me if this
Doesn't mean he can't be a white supremacist.
exactly. Listen to this tweet that this Claiborne Griffin. Have you ever heard of him? Listen to this tweet and tell me this tweet isn't the most racist thing you've ever heard in your life. While I'm not suggesting Bill Burr is a racist, a white man having a non-white wife can sometimes be a sign of racism. So you shouldn't assume someone isn't racist just because they own a minority sex servant. They may very well have one because they are racist.
What?
Isn't that and this dude is a verified account.
Oh, he's good at computers and they're good to him. Yeah, who knows? Verified.
Is that-
Let me get a check mark.
Is
for
that
for
not
followers.
a fucking crazy to just assume
crazy take
that he owns his wife?
Yeah, he owns a sex slave
The thing that is great though
because
is
she's not white too.
his
What?
Bill Burr's wife, Nia Renee Hill, who is also she books a bunch of. She's like a producer and does a bunch of stuff in Hollywood. She retweeted it
and said, "Bitch, shut the fuck up."
Bitch, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, because seriously, I mean, like,
His tweet is probably the most racist, overtly racist thing that I've ever.
it's crazy how this is a thing with like this elite like Hollywood sector. And not even Hollywood. Sorry, and the elite like political specter too. It's people with money, but a lot of these people also that go to like Ivy League schools and stuff. It's like they like feel a little bit of like residual guilt for like because that's all that they have to think about because they've had no struggle or anything. So they have to like fucking make everything about like we need to lift up marginalized communities. And what they mean by that is like. I had a black friend when I went to Harvard, and so now I think that, you know, like everyone, you know, but they don't realize that they are the problem, that they're part of like what's keeping like everyone down and everyone not making any money because all these people are like chasing their fucking political careers, you know, out of like Ivy League schools and like fucking perpetuate this like corporatist like system that we have that makes it so no one can make money and like rise up and, you know, and these people fucking piss me off, dude.
Let's say goodbye to the people now and end on Bill Burr's monologue on SNL because I know you're gonna love it.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to Circle and Square. Subscribe.
Yes, for sure.
But I think this monologue alone on SNL perfectly says what this podcast is all about.
Sure. I hope we don't get in trouble.
Oh wait, we gotta.
I don't have ads on mine. I hope we don't get in trouble for like playing shit, but like no one listens to our shit anyway. Yeah. So if we ever get a cease and desist, we'll just cease.
You don't have ads on yours?
On my YouTube?
Yeah. All right, wait. Let's pull it up on yours real quick. Hurry!
It's fine. I can be a little late for the musical.
No, I don't want dead air. Thank you for listening to Circle Square. Look, Bill Burr. White women.
Oh, his monologue from a little bit ago, or from months ago.
Yeah, this is the perfect way to sum up.
I have heard this before. Yeah, see.
All right, play it real quick.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Thank you guys for listening. We love you.
Yeah, I love you all too. This is a good episode. It's fun. Oh my god.
doing stand-up forever, and this has always been a lifelong dream of mine to come here and host Saturday Night Live, so thank you so much for coming out. During these difficult times, you guys all look like surgeons with your masks on. Makes me feel comfortable that you're wearing masks. I like people who wear masks. That's good.
Me too.
You're listening to the eggheads, the people we all cheated off of in high school, right? Keep listening to them. And then if you don't wear a mask, that doesn't bug me either, right? Take out your grandparents. You know, take out your weak cousin with the asthma. I don't care. It's your decision. There's too many people. It's a dream come true. If you're that dumb
I'm looking at you, O'Leavers people.
and you want to kill your own family members, by all means do it. Stops you
I
from
get it.
reproducing. It's literally a dream come true. And speaking of dreams come true, did you see Rick Moranis got sucker punched on the Upper West Side? New York is back, baby! New York is back! Yes! We
I wanna
lost
visit New
our
York
edge
again.
there for a minute. City started looking like a giant Bed Bath & Beyond, and then bam! Oh, Ricky took one in the chops. It had to happen. That's what happens when you stick an M&M store in Times Square. All right? The universe has to balance itself. Get the peep shows back in Times Square. Old people can walk safely 40 blocks away. I don't know. I'll probably get canceled for doing that joke. You know, how stupid is that cancel thing? They're literally running out of people to cancel. They're going after dead people now. They're trying to cancel John Wayne. It's like, yeah, dude, God did that 40 years ago. They're all up in arms. They're like, did you hear what he said in that interview in Playboy in 1970? Can you believe that? It's like, yeah. He was born in 1907. That's what these people sounded like.
Yeah, seriously.
You never talked to your grandparents and brought up the wrong subject, and all of a sudden it went off the rails. Like, oh, grandma, just keep making the cookies. Yeah, you don't bring up race or religion with your grandparents. You keep it simple. Anyway, I don't know. I guess my grandparents are older. I don't know. Plowing ahead. Plowing ahead. Let's talk white women here, shall we? Let's talk white women. White women, you're amazing your accomplishments over the last few years. I got to tell you, the way white women somehow hijacked the woke movement, generals around the world should be analyzing this. Just to refresh your memory, the woke movement was supposed to be about people of color not getting opportunities, the at-bats that they deserved, finally making that happen. And it was about that for about 8 seconds. And then somehow, white women swung their Gucci-booted feet over the fence of oppression and stuck themselves at the front of the line. I don't know how they did it. I've never heard so much complaining in my life from white women. My life is so hard with my SUV and my heated seats. You have no idea what it's like to be me. Trash and white guys. The nerve. Where's the camera? The nerve of you white women. Listen, I don't want to speak ill of my bitches here, okay? I don't. Well, let's go back in history here, okay? You guys stood by us toxic white males through centuries of our crimes against humanity. You rolled around in the blood money. And occasionally, when you wanted to sneak off and hook up with a black dude, if you got caught, you said it wasn't consensual. Yeah, that's what you did. That's what you did.
Yeah.
So why don't you shut up, sit down next to me, and take your talking to?
Do you remember when that lady who said that Emmett Till had whistled at her and all that shit, right before she died, she was like, "Oh, he didn't actually do it." You know, that's forever ago. I'm bringing that up, but that's what he's talking about there, shit like that.
Thank you. Okay. Had a great time with Judd Apatow, Pete Davidson, and all the guys.
That's pretty much right.
Yeah.
The white women is the only part I wanted to hear. Thank you guys so much. We love you. Ben's got to go do
Yeah.
I don't know.
The musical.
Or
And
whatever,
then I'll...
whatever the gays do.
Yeah, drive Blake to wherever he needs to go. And
Yeah, I'm going to the sports hall to watch some basketball, I guess.
I love you all very much. I really do.
I love you guys more.
Appreciate anyone who... I see people listen to this now, which is kind of cool. It's kind of like we have people every week that at least tune in, so it's kind of...
Yeah, why don't you share it with your fucking friends?
Well, I'll share this episode. This is nice.
No, I'm saying the listeners. I wish they would share it too.
Oh, yeah, you guys should share it too. Why not?
We're not that bad of dudes.
I know. We're actually, like, kind of nice, I think. I don't know. It's that Omaha nice, that Nebraska nice.
Well, they call it that Omaha styly. Anyway, see you guys later. Love you all so much. The mayor's sleeping with the chief of police. Bye.
Bye.